There was this video that Alex Hormozi did recently where he was interviewed by two guys. I think it's called The Book Thinkers. It's a very good interview. And in that interview, at the very end, they asked him, imagine this, you're dead. There's only one short piece of advice from you that lives on. What is it? And Alex Hormozi said, you don't matter, live accordingly. And as much as I love the guy and he gives great advice, this one really grated me. And I wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to think it through myself because I wonder like why this grates me so much. And I understand where he's coming from. And I'm going to talk about the main difference later, but where he's coming from on this is that he keeps talking about one of his predecessors, one of his ancestors, who's some Persian Shah and who lived like 150 years ago, was ruling Persia at the time, or some province and something like that. And he's now completely forgotten. Even Alex Hormozi doesn't remember his name. Had hundreds of wives and thousands of descendants, but nobody remembers his name, or at least Alex doesn't remember his name. And that is a very good example of why it's important that you do what you want to be doing. And Alex uses this example of you will die and 2 weeks later pretty much everybody will have forgotten about you. It is a very powerful statement, and it's true that it means that you should be doing what you are meant to do, what your purpose is, and you don't delay things until later because mañana might never come. That is a very good point. However, this phrasing of it, that really bothered me, this you don't matter, because I really fundamentally believe that you do matter. And so I think one of the differences might be, and this is not, I don't know Alex personally at all, and I don't know him well enough to be able to say that. But at least one piece of speculation is that Alex doesn't have kids and he doesn't want to have kids. I have one son. Hopefully we'll have many more. And this is, I think, a crucial difference, because once you have a child, you know that you matter a lot. And it's not that, sure, when I die, people will not necessarily think about me a lot. But here's the crucial difference. What I have done during my time on this world will have an impact well beyond just people remembering me and thinking about me and cherishing my memory. I think everything that you do has a knock-on effect, a huge one. Jordan Peterson talks about you are a node in a network and you're interconnected with other people. And the more you can, you can sort of imagine it it's like a web that is sort of floating in the air, and then you are one of those nodes. And when you climb higher, in any way, how you want to put this. It could be economically. If you get really rich, then inside your community, this will have positive knock-on effects. You'll be able to give to charity. You'll be able to help a family member out. You'll be able to help save an expensive medical treatment for somebody else and so on. And your little node in that network, sort of, you rise up and you lift some people in your vicinity. You lift them up. And conversely, if you drag down, if you are parasite, a scrounger on everybody else, I'm just thinking now economically, right? That drags everybody else down. Other people will have less money because they need to bail you out, right? Or if you constantly are whiny and depressed and sad and so on, then you're dragging everybody else down. And that has so many knock-on effects, right? Because you drag people down, then this person now needs to go and console you and therefore cannot take their kid to swimming practice. And because of this missed swimming practice, the kid misses out on an element in their personal development and so on. So all of these negative knock-on effects cascade from somebody's decision to allow themselves to be dragged down. And of course, the other way as well. So everything is positive knock-on effects. And so if everybody in this network of nodes decides to work on themselves and to improve, and that is, of course, across so many different dimensions, health, wealth, relationships, your spiritual well-being, all of that, when you improve that, then you lift everybody else up for way longer periods, then you will be alive. This stuff lives on. So for example, when you are, let's say you're walking through the forest and you see that some dog pooped there and you decide to pick up that poop, you happen to have a bag with you, and then you pick it up and then you take it to the next trash can, and that's when you then drop it. That is a deed that it's a tiny example, but it makes the world a better place. You have removed this out of sight. So the next person who walks down that path will remain in their, let's say, beautiful meditative state and will remain positive thinking as they are walking along that path. And the view of dog shit would have sort of disturbed that moment, that serene moment for them. And so this is a tiny example of how your good deed for someone later on who's been in the same situation, it has improved their life. And that goes, of course, if you make a lot of money and you end up building a children's hospital, well, that's a huge knock-on effect. That's what I want to get back to on this topic of Alex Hormozi is saying, you don't matter, live accordingly. I think that also can lead to a certain degree of cynicism and nihilism, because if you don't matter, well, then who's to say that it would be a wrong thing to do something really evil, to go and steal something from someone or to assault someone, right? Because there is no reason. If you don't matter, then your actions don't really matter and they don't impact anybody else. So I know that Alex, of course, didn't mean it in this way. I wouldn't impugn him of that, but it's just, I really think these words matter a lot. To how you portray these thoughts matters a lot. And I also do believe that this, very often I hear from Alex Hormozi like a bit of a sadness when it comes to this. I think he takes it a little bit, not personally, but I feel there's some wistfulness with this. Whenever he says that you don't matter, and he uses these examples, he frequently mentions, for example, Queen Elizabeth II, that nobody talks about her now anymore, and therefore do what you want, right? Because it's been now over 6 months that she has passed away. And so therefore, look, people don't even talk about her anymore. You will not matter beyond your lifetime and so on. So I get it. I actually really agree with this. It's a very beautiful thought in one hand. Just the one thing that I want to give you on this journey and to sort of that you take away from this conversation is that you do matter a lot, and everything that you do will have a knock-on effect on future generations, on the people you work with. And so thinking that you don't matter and to live accordingly might lead to a certain level of egocentrism and nihilism. And I think that's just sad. You are here to fulfill a specific purpose. You have to figure out what that is and then do your work and do it well, act with integrity, and what you do will end up mattering a whole lot. So that's my message for today. It's not something to do with business necessarily, but I help consultants build client acquisition systems. And sometimes we face these existential questions as well. Like, for example, today I'm going to be talking, we have this jot form that people submit before calls. And one of my clients is in a bit of an existential crisis. He's wondering which route to pursue. There's so many options for him. And he's sort of a little bit stuck in this place where he just doesn't know which road to take. And so this is what we're going to be talking about. And I think having this strong foundation that what you do matters a lot and that your contribution to this world will end up making a huge difference, even if, yes, 6 weeks after your funeral, people will not be talking about you anymore unless they have been really super close to you. And then even those people, your close family members, even 2 years afterwards, will only remember you, now he passed away, right? And so, yes, that of course will happen. But still, everything that you do, every single little thing, remember that note. When you become better, you lift everybody else up. And that has a knock-on effect because they being lifted up, they also lift up other people around them. So remember this image, remember this visual. It's very important that we keep this in mind and we believe that we matter.